The views and opinions of the host and guests are their own and do not necessarily reflect the position of the management and staff of Guardian Network.
She texts me back. She said she ready for some of that. I say, what you talking about?
Good morning this morning and welcome back to Guardian Radio 96.9 FM, your station for fresh news, smart talk all day. It is Thursday, the 22nd of December, 2022, and we are 3.5 days away from Christmas, 2.5 days. When you don't have any children, you don't have to count it out properly. But we are close. Now, today is supposed to be the last day of the 12 Days of Christmas giveaway. I'm just waiting for Mr. Nuri to join me in studio so we could start giving away these gifts. Now, I started off this morning with Ghost Move by Avi. It is a Culture Thursday. We haven't moved away from that. So today's Culture Thursday is a Junkanoo versus Rake and Scrape Christmas. When I play the game, How Bahamian Are You game show, Happy Holidays edition or any edition, one of my favorite questions is Junkanoo versus Rake and Scrape, right? Which one? Which one is the most authentic Bahamian cultural voice, right? Which one resonates more with Bahamians and tourists alike? Which one evokes or garners more participation, right? Which one is easier to transmit or to spread? Junkanoo versus Rake and Scrape. So every time I ask my producer to play a Rake and Scrape song, I've also asked him to match it with a Junkanoo song, right? Because this is perhaps one of the most important, one of the most exciting tensions, right, in our country. This is the type of tension that we should focus on. Because in this space, the question, Junkanoo versus Rake and Scrape, we can discover so much about ourselves, about the art form, about the past, about the future, all of it. And so I love it. Also now, I can be honest, the vast majority of the songs on my list today are all from Inagua, and 95% of them are from Avi. Why? Because my friend Stalita ain't reached the studio yet. I forget to call him and tell him come. I told him come, but I forgot to remind him. But I was watching the footage from the mega Bahamian concert this week, and I watched Avi do the splits on stage. And I say, well, there's anybody dedicated to the people, it's that boy who did the splits on stage. I love Upper Avi. I love me some, what they call it, Nagua Rake and Scrape, some dirty Rake and Scrape. I love it. And I love how those Inagua boys have, they've added their episode, right, to the show called Bahamian Culture. They took hold of Rake and Scrape at a time when it was ripe for evolution. I think Ancient Man had just come in, and Elon Moxie with that that foundational Rake and Scrape, right? That rootsy guttural island Rake and Scrape. And those Nagua boys came in and kicked up the tempo, kicked up the pace. They never lost that. But they brought something special to Rake and Scrape. And so the first question I have for my listening audience. Now, this isn't the giveaway game. This isn't the giveaway game. I'm going to throw that question out in a second. The first question is Junkanoo versus Rake and Scrape. If you had to choose one, which one would you be choosing? Numbers to call today are 323-6232. That's 323-6232. 325-4316. That's 325-4316. 325-4259. The text line powered by BTC is 422-GR96. That's 422-GR96. 422-4796. I got Rake and Scrape. I got another text that says Rake and Scrape. I tell you, see, with Rake and Scrape, anybody could play. Anybody could play. You don't have a drum, you got a water bottle, a 5-gallon water bottle, you in business. Right? You don't have a clacker, you get 2 fork or you get 2 spoon and you make a clacker. The only instrument, I think, in Rake and Scrape that's going to be hard to just come up with on the spot is that fiddle. That fiddle sound. Now, Junkanoo, of course, Junkanoo is more than just the music, right? Junkanoo, like that experience, is more than just the music. And some people say, the difference between Junkanoo and Rake and Scrape and why Junkanoo has not been, if I could use like a loose term, fully embraced by global music community is because Junkanoo, like it doesn't have lyrics. People can't learn the songs and sing along, right? But it's like I say, it's a different type of experience. It's another question I have, or I think an assertion to be explored, right? Which of the genres captures more Bahamians? Right? Which of the genres like have a fuller scope of Bahamians, if I could put it plainly, of Junkanoo and Rake and Scrape, right? We know Bahamians of African descent definitely participate in both, right? Now, Junkanoo, modern day Junkanoo, white Bahamians participate in modern day Junkanoo. They have done, they continue to do that. But historically, would white Bahamians have participated in Junkanoo? See, that's a fascinating question. Sort of like the panel that Sasha Wells on Wednesday, the 4th of January, that discussion she's going to be having on enslaved Africans and Maroons in New Providence, right, in urban areas. But I imagine that even back then, some white people would have participated in Junkanoo. Because the whole thing was kind of like a masquerade, eh? With masks and costumes and covering your face. And I can imagine how exciting it could have been or would have been for a white person, no matter what class they were a part of, to be able to get in costume and rush with the natives, to use a loose term. And I think that would have been a very interesting sight to see. I think about Maureen Duvalier. I found an interesting interview with her and another gentleman online about their connections to Junkanoo. And Maureen Duvalier said that as a young child, she would, I think, either her grandfather in the shack and making music and be a part of the Junkanoo world. And for a long time, she was able to just sort of cover like she was a little boy, right? And she's able to masquerade And I think it wasn't until maybe 1943, at least when she was 16 or 17 years old, that she would have led the first collective group of women to bathe, to rush, right? And the article says, she says in the article that women would have rushed maybe with their husbands or with their brothers, but not as a group. And so I think that would be fascinating. And I look forward to the time when the Junkanoo community produces conversations like these, but on a broader platform, not just within Junkanoo groups, not just within the Junkanoo community, but they use a space like the Bahamas Historical Society to push some real conversations. Let's get to the nitty gritty so we could understand why the way they evolve. I got this question on my heart. Who led the Valley back on Bay? The question on my heart is, that's a part of it. But really I want to know, and I want to know if the Valley will ever tell us, the general public, why they left Bay in the first place. I think that's very important. I think that needs to be documented in history. What would cause the Valley to say they leave in Bay? This is a fascinating space right there, right? Because, like I say, a member of the Junkanoo community told me that it's the Junkanoo groups that made the decision for the Valley to come. They said, no, we want them come back. That's the impression I get. The other groups say, it ain't gonna feel right if they're not there. And so I was talking to an older Bahamian about it, someone who would have rushed. They would have rushed with the Arawaks and the Vikings, right? They are real Junkanoo. And they fancy people say they balked. They were aghast. They was upset that I would even suggest. They were upset that I would even suggest that someone could keep them off of Bay Street. But I said to him, but no. They resigned. They took themselves off of Bay Street. Right? And so the question remains two things. Well, what happened that would cause them to leave Bay? But more importantly, what does the Valley represent to Junkanoo and the Bahamian people, the Junkanoo community, to the collective Bahamian historic experience? What does the Valley boys, what does the Valley mean such that the vast majority, virtually, only virtually, all of the Junkanooers would say, no, they have to rush. So I think that's an important conversation. Even to the point where if you want to understand gang culture in the Bahamas and its evolution, right, then you could look at a non-violent, you could look at a good gang and the history of it and how boundaries were formed and how boundaries shifted, right, and how they were shaped and reshaped by the culture and the experiences of the people and the politics, right? I think that is one of the most important conversations that we could have. And that's why I keep asking, who led the Valley back on Bay? See, when you talk to older Bahamians, and they'll talk to you about the Collins Wall boundary, right? The boundaries between Saxons and the Valley. Then you could begin to understand why those two groups in particular hold this, they have this hold on the Bahamian consciousness. I got a text here that says, great show, as usual. A good gang is a House of Assembly gang. They could be a good gang. They could be an excellent gang. if they use their powers, right? I hear the Anglicans are a good gang too. You know who else I hear is a good gang? The Catholics. When the Catholics organize, they organize. You know, I hear it's a good gang too? The sororities and the fraternities. You see when the Omega Psi Phi's, you see when the Q's, when they organize, you see how much cookout ticket they could move? How they've helped people organize their fundraising efforts to not just like make sense, but to be a roaring success. That's what good gangs do. I see we got a caller on the line. Good morning, caller.
Good morning, Erin Greene. The Valley is on the clock.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Now, give me 2 minutes. Let me explain the questions you were asking.
Mm-hmm.
I try my best to explain it without incriminating or calling nobody name.
Yes, sir.
Several years ago, a similar thing happened on Bay Street where the Valley Boys was declared winners, and they came back days later, and the winning prize was taken away.
Mm-hmm.
Now, we had an event on Centerville Park, practice event, and something of that sort on the park, and it was then said by some of the higher ups in the Valley that the Valley Boys ain't rushing in no more parade as long as the JC had control of it.
Mm-hmm.
That, however, never came to fruition because it was said away from Bay Street and not in the public, in the media.
Mm-hmm.
Now, this other event that happened, the Valley Boys was declared the winners of the Boxing Day. It was said that the Saxons and the other groups had penalties. The Valley Boys did not. So the Valley Boys was declared the winner. Mm-hmm. Now, I mentioned to Eileen last time back that if that was the case, it was obvious that the Valley Boys, who didn't have no penalties, won the parade. If you don't know how much times the Saxon and them went over, for some reason they didn't log the scores, but it was obvious that they had penalties.
Mm-hmm.
I said, simple mathematics. All you have to do is 70 minutes to get across Russell Square, and just to those groups that got penalized, just add +1. Now that 1 would represent 1 to infinity. So
Okay.
that would be their penalty, 70 plus 1 minute. The Valley didn't have that. But I told our highs, if what you're telling me is correct, then let it go to court. The courts would adjudicate that matter in our favor. But however, personalities got involved, and the same thing was said again. Oh, we ain't rushing with y'all no more. To me, it wasn't a group decision. I didn't know nothing about it. Several persons I spoke to didn't know nothing about it.
Mm-hmm.
I think it came from the higher ups and a little handful of people. Now, what caused the Valley Boys to get back in was that the rules and the regulation doesn't spell it out. Something like the Constitution of the Junkanoo, the JCN, doesn't spell out the fact that you could resign like that or something like that. And our lawyers looked over it and found a loophole where we didn't do it right and the JCN didn't accept it right. And we was able to get back in under those conditions.
Okay.
But I think it was a personal knee-jerk decision that caused that last one.
I got you.
Okay.
I got you. Thank you. So you get a sense of it. And the Valley was protecting the integrity of the organization. Challenges made, disagreements with adjudication. I got you. I got you. And I love that. Somebody just say to me, they didn't say they was in Russian. They just said they was in Russian under the JCNP. I like that. So the most important thing is to don't think I hating on the Valley. Don't think I hating. I just think that it's something that we should talk about. See, because look here, if we can't get the Junkanoo groups right, Junkanoo is such an important space. It permeates everything. Our man Finlayson, he had it right. festival in the workplace? How do we take that model, that work culture that is produced in the Junkanoo shacks and bring that to the workplace? The same way, how do we take those organizational structures, the power structures, how do we take them out of that Junkanoo space and apply them into other spaces? Because the truth is, man who don't like to get ruled by other man understand the need for the hierarchy of power in the Junkanoo shack. That's a valuable thing. But look here, I got to call, I got to open up the phone lines, let people talk. Good morning. You on the clock.
Good morning, Erin. How are you doing this morning?
Good, thank you. How you do?
All is good. Let me see if I can help my cousin, Marvin Supper Johnson. You see, you know, I was rushing for overflow, and I never believe in penalizing nobody, you know. See, because Junkanoo is a free thing. That's the only thing keeping this country together. Not the church, not the politicians, not no these service groups, none of them. Watch when people rush in Junkanoo, everybody be happy, you know. Nobody talking no politics. Everybody happy. Everybody can drink a little beers or whatever they have. Share. If it's not with love. You know what I mean? See? And how we had it back in the olden days is that Junkanoo used to call on Bay Street and no call, no price is supposed to change. When people call the price, that's supposed to be it. People betting all kind of money. I didn't spend my $1,000 or $2,000. You think you come back to me and get money? I didn't spend the money. See, and what happened in our Junkanoo, our culture, is that we got too much outside people coming in key positions. No, the victimization was going on Junkanoo from that time. I know I get victimized plenty times, but I had to laugh at them because I know my job was to teach. I didn't do my job. I didn't teach, but 85% of the people in the farmers, I don't care what group they're rushing in. They came from my university. But we need to get it right. You see, for some kind of reason, smart people got the country messed up, you know. The same dumb people that got the construction workers, the fishermen, the farmer, and the local people, things to be right, you know. When they bring these smart people in, they believe in doing maths. Nobody for get penalized. Okay? We spend millions and millions of our personal money on this thing to keep this thing on Bay Street, man. You know, and for years I tell them, let's boycott. And they will see what would happen. We would have shut this country out from a long time. You see, Junkanoo is the only thing keeping this country together, Erin, and they better leave us alone. And that's all I get. And one more thing before I go.
Yes, sir.
I'm going to go down Bay Street. That thing they got in Washington Square. Now, I have a reason why they got it there, right? But if it's too low, you all just need to address that, man, okay?
What's
because
that?
I know some of these guys, these league source homes, they come in like with 15, 20 feet tall, by 16 wide. So address these things, man. And no penalties, man.
Hold on. So you're saying that there's a structural issue. The banners are too low, and they need to raise them to make sure that the costumes could come underneath it.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. So it goes through freely. And the one on Shirley Street.
Okay.
Let's go, man. Let's fix this thing, man. This is all we got.
Right. So listen, the message is to the Ministry of Public Works. You got to get on Bay Street, and you got to adjust the wiring, the lights, the low hanging fixtures. You got to adjust
exactly.
That. Okay, I got you.
Oh, thanks.
Yeah, man. Y'all don't let that happen. Like this gentleman said, they have spent collectively millions and millions of dollars putting these costumes together, right? And that's why I say, why is Junkanoo such a valuable space? The Prime Minister was in yesterday's paper saying at how proud he was of the Bahamas at this time, right now, how proud he is, to be a Bahamian and of the Bahamas. Why this Junkanoo conversation is so important. Junkanoo, right now, is perhaps the leading space, the church, Junkanoo, where Bahamians volunteer. Nobody asks them. They get up in the morning, they wash their face, and they volunteer their money, their time, their energy to this thing for a prize that actually could never commensurate, it could never compensate for the amount of money and energy lost, the time away from family. The Junkanoo community has figured out a way that when the Saxons win, not just every Junkanoo or everybody who hit Bay feels that pride, but every Saxons fan feels that pride as if they built their own costume and rushed on Bay. That's what Junkanoo does for us. And what the Prime Minister's greatest task is, right? That little statement, the press statement depicts a great photo opportunity, press opportunity. But his biggest task is making it so that all Bahamians can and do feel the same way about themselves, about other Bahamians, and about the country collectively. That's what his biggest job is. And Junkanoo is one of those spaces that does it, right? And you see, like with the church, that's about our commitment and relationship to God. But Junkanoo is about a commitment to preserving past culture, a commitment to bringing, to involving Bahamians in this thing right now, and a commitment to growing Junkanoo for the future. That's the model. I got a text here that says, great show as usual. Question, could a sponge costume win Junkanoo? That's another great question I got to add to my thank you. Modern day costume or traditional old school costume? You into all sponge costume? You into a costume that is just made up of like upcycled, found items, rags, and old cloth? You into newspaper costume? Producers, newspaper costume modern or traditional? Traditional, newspaper costume. What costume is your costume? All right, producer, I see it's 10:39 and Guardian Radio AM is not here yet. Let's go to a break, and when we get back from the break, we play some music, and we're going to get to the questions. I got to give away some things. We got a couple things to give away. We got to start before the 11 o'clock hour. There you go. Traditional, you can't have a Junkanoo Voices rake and scrape without this gentleman.
On to join the ranks of the great ones. Pioneered rake and scrape throughout the. His music he cherished. Oh, he loved his guitar, so Ernest Tubbs was his name. But they called him Lousy Dude. You should have seen him on the goatskin or the saw.
This Yuletide season, start a new Christmas tradition by joining Bahamas Faith Ministries by donating toys, gifts, and school supplies for the Hope for the Holidays Christmas promotion. Hope for the Holidays brings joy and happiness to the faces of children without at least one parent because they're serving time in prison. This Christmas, give hope for the holidays and let the children of incarcerated parents experience a real Christmas. They open presents, eat a meal, and spend time making new Christmas memories. Hope for the Holidays gives incarcerated parents the opportunity to have their kids blessed with gifts and lifelong memories, giving them a newfound joy and motivation to make the necessary changes in their lives to be a positive and supportive role model for their kids. Toys, gifts, and funds for Hope for the Holidays can be donated at the Miles E. Monroe Diplomat Center. Hope for the Holidays Christmas promotion, proudly sponsored by Guardian Media.
How important collecting your money can be to the success of your business, so that we can show you the many options available to you with our merchant services, from click and pay options online to merchant terminals and e-commerce options. We're here to help your business succeed. For more details, speak to one of our business development officers at 356-7764 in Nassau or 352-6676 in Freeport. Visit our website at fidelitygroup.com or visit any of our branches.
We're good for you.
Love the show? Want to give your support? Become a sponsor today. Call 302-2300 for our rates and packages. That's 302-2300. Become a sponsor on Guardian Radio 96.9 FM. Fresh news, smart talk, all day.
Good morning this morning, and welcome back to Guardian Radio 96.9 FM on this Culture Thursday. It's supposed to be the last day of the 12 days of Christmas giveaway, but New Year's not here yet, so we may have to spread this out another day, guys. Our producer, that was Bodine. Was that Bodine? Who's that? Novia. Look here. Anyway, I say rake and scrape. My producer say Junker knew, and he has not disappointed me yet. I want you all to hear your Christmas music. It's time to put together the Christmas album. I grew up on Bahamian music, especially at Christmas time, and I want to say that my generation of artists and this new generation of artists, they are holding Bahamian culture down. I really don't know where Mr. Nuri is, but we're going to start with the giveaways for, I think maybe we have time to do one or two prizes. We've got time to do one or two prizes. And let us start with this one. I've got some Bahamian, some Christmas, and some other religious festival trivia knowledge. So let's start with this one. Which district, sometimes called the gateway to the Bahamas, is the closest geographically to the United States? The numbers to call are 323-6232, that's 323-6232, and 325-4316, that's 325-4316. Which district, sometimes called the gateway to the Bahamas, is the closest geographically to the United States? I see we have a caller. Good morning, caller. Have you called to answer the question?
Morning, Weston.
Okay, now.
I think I got the answer.
Okay, now, hold on. If I tell you get the answer correct, don't hang up. I need you to give the producer your telephone number and your name, and I will contact you and tell you what you won and how you could collect it.
Okay.
All right. You ready?
Yep.
I ready.
All right. Is it Bimini?
It is Bimini. Thank you.
Okay.
Remember what to do. Now,
Yeah.
look here. What else you know about Bimini? Let me ask you another quick question while I have you on the line.
I mean, what I know about Bimini is that's the sailing part of the Bahamas.
One of, yeah.
Yeah, one of. Sorry.
So tell me, how many roads are there in Bimini?
Last time I remember, if I could remember correctly, I think it's only one.
That's what I read. There's just one road on North Bimini which passes through Alice Town and is called the King's Highway.
Yeah.
Yeah. I haven't been to Bimini since I was not old enough to walk myself. Thank you very, very much. Give your name and number to the producer, and I'll contact you after the show with what you've won and how to collect it.
All right. Thank you.
No, thank you very much. Now listen, I do have if you have won a prize before, we want to give an opportunity for other people to win prizes as well. Got a text here that says, "Good day, Miss Greene. How are you? I wanted to know if I won a gift from yesterday for answering the question of who was the youngest MP and their age. I texted it in, and you said it was correct." No, you did text it in, and you did text in the correct answer, but you were not the first person to text in the correct answer. But here's what we're going to do. Texter, if you don't win anything today or by tomorrow, if we do it again, Mr. Nuri, tomorrow morning, I will send you a small prize. It may be vegetable oriented, right? It may be fruit and produce oriented, but I will send you a prize. So let's go for another question. I want a Bahamian question. I want it to be a little tough. I want it to be easy, easy, easy. Here we go. You ready? Who gave the Bahamas to Robert Heath in 1629? Who granted the Bahamas to Robert Heath in 1629. That's bad. My bad. It's in 1969. That was 7 years before my birth. And I think by 1981, I would have been at QC, and I would have been in Heath House. So this is 1629. Who granted the Bahamas to Robert Heath in 1629? The numbers to call are 323-6232, 325-4316, and 325-4229. I'd like to say that I expect all QC students to know that answer, but I'll be honest, I don't know if we ever learned that at QC, and if we did, I don't know if I ever remembered it. Producer, I see we got a caller on the line. Good morning, caller. You calling to answer the question? Good morning, caller. I'm afraid we lost you, unless, of course, you are one of Ebenezer Scrooge, them ghosts. The ghosts of Christmas past reminded me of a couple of years ago when I found Christmas Ganap. If anybody have a tree, a Ganap tree producing Ganap around this kind of time, call me, please. I know it happens. Come on, call. I see we got a caller on the line. Good morning, caller.
Hi, yes, good morning.
Good morning. How you do?
I am well, thanks.
Good.
Is it Charles the First?
It is Charles the First. You are correct. Please give your name and number to the producer, and I will contact you after today's shows and let you know what you won and how to collect it. Thank you. I just wanted to let the record. Charles the First would be great ancestor to the now King Charles the Third. Both of them would be my cousins. I just saying, very extremely distant cousins. But you could imagine that. What you mean you just granted the Bahamas to one boy? Like, were y'all playing poker or were y'all playing backgammon, dominoes, and you lose and you suck your teeth and you was like, man, you want the Bahamas? I give you the Bahamas. Take that. 1629. What a time. All the QC people, I guess now you know why. I was in Heath House at QC. Now we know why Heath is an important name in the Bahamas. But I wonder if he made the Heath. Is this the same? I got to do some research. Would Robert Heath have made the Heath Bar? Because I'll claim that. I will take that. Okay, so we've got 2 prizes under our belt so far. I want to switch a little bit. This is not a trivia question. I'm not going to ask this one as a trivia question today. This is very interesting Bahamian trivia knowledge. So, the question that I found was, in Hopetown on Elbow Key in the Abacos, there is a graveyard dedicated to the victims of an epidemic in the 1850s. And the question is, what horrible disease claimed over 100 citizens of this tiny island? When I say imagine in the 1850s, and you've settled Abaco, right? And you're in Elbow Key. And then a disease comes in and wipes and claims the lives of over 100 citizens. I mean, that must have been devastating. And so the answer the disease was cholera. Many historians believe that cholera was brought to the Bahamas on a ship from New York. And once the disease reached Nassau, it was carried to the out islands by passengers and crew on their regular supply runs. The cholera cemetery in Hopetown is located in the center of town. This is the part here why I wanted to tell this story. A local legend tells of the White Lady of the Ridge, who was allegedly a victim of the cholera and always appears before a major disaster, walking along the ridge overlooking the ocean. That's a fascinating story. So I just found this last night while I was looking for trivia questions, and I thought I got to share this on the show. This is from Abaco, right? From Hope Town, that area. And local legend says the White Lady of the Ridge was a victim of cholera and always appears before a major disaster, walking along the ridge overlooking the ocean. So if anybody is familiar with this legend, familiar with the White Lady of the Ridge, has seen it themselves from people who say they've seen it, or older family members have told you stories about it, I'm going to need you to call us at 323-6232, 325-4316, or 325-4259. You could also text us at 422-GR96. That's 422-GR96. What a fascinating story. Okay, I've got a couple of minutes left before the end of the show. Here's some more trivia before we get into our second hour. Which popular fruit in the Bahamas is used to make one of the world's most famous sauces? Which popular fruit in the Bahamas is used to make one of the world's most famous sauces? Everybody should know the answer to this. In fact, I got an answer right away. I've got 2 answers. Good morning, caller.
Tamron.
Yes, sir. Tamarind is the correct answer. Now, don't hang up the phone. Give your number to the producer. And to my first texter, I've got you as well. But the last 2 numbers of your cell phone is 64. That's 64. That is awesome. I hope you all understand just how popular tamarind is. Like when I say popular, what I really mean is the potential the tamarind has to be the base of a new industry for the Bahamas. That's what I mean. And we don't even have to think about like industry, like global industry, you know. We don't have to think about that at all. See, the government said next year is going to be record-setting for tourist numbers. Before the pandemic, we were aiming for 10 million tourists a year. Even if we just return to the level of 7 million tourists a year, what if every single tourist, foreigner, dignitary, accidental, anybody, what if even the dolphins come to visit, or you know them set of dolphins from Blackbeard's Key that we have to send back by court order, but we forgot about? Even them, if you send them back. Everybody should leave this place with a tamarind product in their hand. Everyone should leave the place with a tamarind product in their hand. We're talking about easy industry. Not where you got to go get your HASP booklet, which is like 4 feet wide, and figure out how to do it properly for export. We're making products to give to the guests that we already inviting to come here. Almost to that break, the end of the show, and as tamarind season approaches, I got to say to the Rasta man, I got to say to the tamarind man, it's important that you watch the weather, both the weather and watch the skies, right? Because if you've noticed over the last couple of years, we have this extended period of rain, like midway to the end of tamarind season. So it's 2 things. You got to watch the tree. The tree is producing tamarinds in shifts, right? In batches. So you got to make sure you're not picking all the green tamarind while you're trying to get to that first set of ripe tamarind. Second thing is you can't let the tamarind get soaked by the rain. They get moldy. They don't get enough light. You got to, with it not topping, you got to layer your trees so they could get more air and sunlight in to keep the tamarind dry after small rains. The tamarind season is almost here. Juju is on the ground. I done pick up a couple juju and eat them. It ain't plenty, but they're here. Anyway, we're going to go to a break. It's the end of On the Clock. And when we get back from the break, I'm hoping that Mr. Nuri is here so we could continue with the 12 days of Christmas giveaway. So the people who have already won gifts, we will contact you after the 12 o'clock hour and let you know what you won and how to pick it up. Thank you for playing along. Thank you for tuning in to On the Clock with Erin Greene. And soon, producer, this Junkanoo Voices Rake and Scrape Christmas. Can't call it a war. Bahamians can't war with each other. It make no sense. Anyway, you guys, stay tuned. Guardian Radio, 96.9 FM.
Head and belly, Lee's boy. Go outside, you know that goat we killed yesterday. Get that old Robin Hood, put drum cake, nail that drum out and beat it. Wham! Yeah, boy. Daisy Mackey, boy, Fallon Mackey. Play your more organ. Beep, 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 beep. Yeah, buddy, y'all sounding good, you know. Oscar from Cat Island. Blow that juice to the bottle. Ben Strawn, taking blood at Constantine, you know that fee-faw. Gone to Cat Island, join the Rake and Scrape band. Gone to Cat Island, oh, Cat Island, join the Rake and Scrape band.
This
is Guardian Radio 96.9 FM, Nassau, Bahamas.